again. It's a rich thing.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be reacting to yet again another article discussing the 5 potential big men that the Chicago Bulls could pursue in free agency or in the offseason. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, I feel like this is an important topic of discussion because obviously, we probably do need big men help, especially, if Andre Drummond doesn't come back, or even if Nikola Vucevic doesn't come back this season, we might be in the need for the big man department, and these are the 5 big men that the Chicago Bulls may be able to go after. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not you believe that you would, or at least you would like to have any of these big men in the for next season, or would you like to bring any of them in the off-season? And I think it's time to get started, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, we do need to discuss the type of big men that we may need. So, obviously, if Andre Drummond doesn't come back, you're going to need someone that's going to be able to rebound the ball well as the backup center. You're going to need a rim protector as well. I think those are the 2 key things that you probably need out of your big man. Scoring would be nice, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a terrible necessity to have scoring a big man off of the bench, especially if you can fix the three-point shooting in other departments. You can obviously, you still have Kobe and Ayo. Those guys can put points on the board as well. Maybe inconsistently, but they can still do it. Plus, you're expecting the Bulls to have a better offensive season just naturally from last season to this season because you do have some good offensive players in there. But also, if you don't bring back Nikola Vucevic, you're going to have a center that does meet certain skill sets that Nikola Vucevic has. At the end of the day, you're planning on keeping Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan on the team, and you plan to have someone that can shoot the 3-ball as a center, then you're going to need someone that's going to be able to shoot the ball as well from that position. Maybe you need someone that's going to shoot the ball regardless of Nikola Vucevic staying or not, just so you have extra 3-point shooting. No one said the 3-point shooting can't come from another big man. It's not ideal, but it's something we've got to look out for. But anyway, let's look at the 5 big men as of now, ladies and gentlemen. The 5th player on this list is a bench player for the Phoenix Suns. His name is Jock Landale, ladies and gentlemen. He played 14 minutes in the regular season. He's averaged 6.6 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 1 assist per game. He averages 0.4 blocks per game and 0.2 steals. Essentially, again, he would be a player that would be coming off of the bench for the Chicago Bulls. Now, I will be honest, I don't know terribly a lot about this player. In the sense that I don't know what his best natural abilities are. It looks like from what I've seen from him, he's a guy that doesn't really play a lot. I think he plays in select games, but he's not necessarily always the go-to. They do also have Bismack Biyombo on the Phoenix Suns team. He's a guy that does work very hard when he plays there, but sometimes he does get outmatched and outskilled and out-physicaled in games. Sometimes he just gets bullied off of the ball and stuff like that. So there are certain qualities to him, 52.8% shooting, which is not too bad as well. But in all honesty, I think if we're looking for a player like that, I'd very much like to keep Andre Drummond. I think Andre Drummond has more of what we need than what a Jock Landale may be. And I could be wrong, at the end of the day, it could just be for a different set of eyes. Maybe it's just a different type of player. Maybe it's just to change things up in some sort of way. He has gotten better in the seasons that he's played. Again, I don't know too much about him, but just looking at the stats, looking at the player himself, I think I'd probably prefer to keep Andre Drummond on this team if I'm being honest. Let's move into the next one, Jackson Hayes. Man, there's so many Bulls players, or Bulls fans, that talk about Jackson Hayes and how he would be a nice addition to this team. Now, there are a couple of reasons why I feel like he'd be a nice addition to this team, but of course, we've got to talk about some of these things. He's played 13 minutes, he's averaged 13 minutes per game in the regular season. He averages 5 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 0.7 assists, with 0.4 blocks and 0.4 steals per game. So, again, I think, this is the type of player that would be a fan favorite because the guy's ridiculously athletic for a center. He moves very well off of his feet. Again, he can leap. He's a good alley-oop threat and stuff of that nature. I think Bulls fans would love a player like that. What makes this player so interesting is that if we can get another point guard on this team, I think that's when you're going to see someone like Jackson Hayes thrive if he was to join the Chicago Bulls team. If he was to join this team right now as we speak with the players that we have, I don't think Jackson Hayes does that well for the Chicago Bulls. I'll be honest. The the guy has a lot of potential. He's still fairly young. He's a restricted free agent. And he's got all the attributes to be a really, really good athletic center in this league. Maybe like a DeAndre Jordan type guy in his prime. You know, catch those lobs. Maybe potentially a post game or something like that. Can run the floor. Solid rebounding, even though 2.8 rebounds in 13 minutes. Not amazing. But yeah, it's another one of the situations where I think it'd be a risk to bring him in, because obviously you're going to have to bring him in for a longer period of time. You can't just bring him in for a couple of seasons and then he will leave. I think it's something you're going to have to rely on for multiple seasons, and I think it could be a nice attribute in that department. But I'll be honest, I still think Andre Drummond is the better signing, in all honesty. Now, Andre Drummond, stats-wise, is a little bit better, but he also has more minutes than Jackson Hayes. He's probably not as athletic, but the guy gets a lot more rebounds, and he's also an alley-oop threat. I just think for Andre Drummond, to get the best out of him on the offensive end, you know, you have to have what Goran Dragic had from him from time to time. The ability to lob the ball up to him, to let him go and chase it and attack it. And I think Jackson Hayes, you'll get the same thing. So, look, if Andre Drummond decides to leave the Chicago Bulls, I'll be more than happy to have someone like Jackson Hayes come into this team and be the athletic big man that can hopefully rebound, block shots, catch alley-oops, and just be an athletic presence. Very similar to what Daniel Gafford was, except Daniel Gafford is a very, very good shot blocking big man. You know, someone that I think a lot of people regret having him leave this Chicago Bulls team. The third person that we're going to be talking about is Thomas Bryant, ladies and gentlemen. This is a little bit more of, I think, what the Bulls kind of need in this area, and I'll tell you why. So, his regular season stats, he's played for 2 teams already this season. He averages 18.3 minutes, 9.8 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 0.5 assists, and 0.5 blocks with 0.5 steals. So, doesn't necessarily add massive rim protection, I'll tell you that much, but the Bulls love small ball. Thomas Bryant is 6'10", so I think he has that ability to play in the small ball, I guess, lineups. He could potentially maybe be a guy you could shift out to the power forward position if need be, if you want to play a little bit bigger. So I think he fits the versatility of this team. You know, we have so many guards, we have little wing play, and we have little, I guess, rim protection on the team. And if we do go small ball, we're relying on Derek Jones Jr. as our small ball center, when he realistically plays a lot better as a forward in most games. With Thomas Bryant, he brings a small ball attribute to this team. He's someone that is a little bit more versatile on defense. He can move his feet defensively, and not just that, he is a good three-point shooter as well, which is something that is completely ignored, I guess, by a lot of people. If you're talking about Thomas Bryant coming into this team, I think it'd be a nice addition to come in and shoot the 3-ball for us. Now, I also think this would be a guy you have to bring off the bench. No disrespect to Thomas Bryant, but I think, you know, he's played 18 minutes and his stats are not necessarily terrific from the starting role. So I would consider, if we're going to bring him in, to bring him in off the bench and allow him to be that bench small ball center. If we need, I guess, to go ridiculously small throughout the game, maybe you start him in specific needs. But again, it wouldn't be someone I'd be replacing Nikola Vucevic for, let's say. I would much prefer to maybe, you know, keep Vucevic and then have Thomas Bryant as a bench option for the Chicago Bulls. And we'll wait and see how that goes. The next one I know is a lot of people's favorite as well, Naz Reid. We have talked about Naz Reid. I think we've even talked about Thomas Bryant on this channel before. He's played about 18 minutes per game. He averages 11.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 0.8 blocks, and 0.6 steals. What I like about Naz Reid is that, again, another player that is a big threat from the three-point line. So again, let's just say if this is the guy that we're going to bring in to replace Nikola Vucevic, he's going to be a player that can spread the floor, can do pick and rolls. I think he's a little bit more mobile and more athletic than a Nikola Vucevic as well, which means he'll be better defensively. And he's 23 years old, so if you bring him in, he's in for the long term, I would say, as well, which is always a nice thing to have from a guy like Naz Reid. I think this is a very good addition to the Chicago Bulls if we could bring him. And not to mention, he is an unrestricted free agent, so we'll be competing for other teams, but essentially, if he wants to come to us, it's basically his choice. He could come to us if he really wants to. So, yeah, I think out of all the center options, this would be a guy that I could consider if Nikola Vucevic did leave the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, Vucevic is the top 10 offensive center in the NBA. But if he decided to leave here, you're probably not going to get anybody better than Nikola Vucevic in free agency if he decided to leave. It's as simple as that. You're not going to get anybody ridiculously better. But I think with Naz Reid, you get very similar attributes, but you also get a little bit more defense as well. Not a better player, but someone that I think could fit this team if we decide to pursue him as a starter. Last but not least, Jakob Poeltl, ladies and gentlemen, another fan favorite for the Chicago Bulls. We've been talking about him for a long time, ever since he was on the San Antonio Spurs. He's back on the Raptors. He averaged 12.5 points, 9.1 rebounds, 2.2 assists. But the most important thing, defensively, this guy's an absolute unit. He averages 1.3 blocks per game and 1.2 steals per game. What I like about this is that he brings what we currently need right now. He brings rim protection. He brings a good offensive game in the sense if he's a good pick and roll player, he could definitely go back to the basket. He has a nice floater game for a big man. So there are good qualities to him offensively. Not a three-point shooter. Again, he doesn't bring that attribute from I guess what Nikola Vucevic provides. He doesn't provide three-point shooting. Mid-range shooting as well is probably not as good in this as Nikola Vucevic, and everything in between. But with Jakob Poeltl, you get a different type of center. You get someone that is a little bit mobile enough, can move well, someone that is a good shot blocker, someone that will get a lot of steals on this team as well. And of course, there's a big reason why it's a fan favorite, because those are the exact things that we need with the Chicago Bulls team. You may lose three-point shooting, but at the same time, if you go and pursue two centers, let's just say Andre Drummond and Nikola Vucevic do not come back for the Chicago Bulls next season. You could sign Jakob Poeltl and maybe a Thomas Bryant, for example, because I think Naz Reid will be a little bit too expensive to just go, I guess, get both of those guys. Let's just say you get a Thomas Bryant, 6'10" player that can shoot the three ball well, and you get Jakob Poeltl on the team. You have two players that are currently, I guess, changing the dynamic of the team in different ways, and you do get some of the qualities that Nikola Vucevic does have. Now, granted, it's with two players and not one player, but it is very interesting. Jakob Poeltl brings that defensive-minded energy, great defensive player, very good in the pick and roll and stuff of that nature. And then you got somebody else off of the bench that can provide that offensive firepower as well, can spread the floor, can shoot the three, and also fits in a small ball lineup where we can move more as well, and we can try to hit in transition. Again, I think Jakob Poeltl is probably a guy that I would most definitely, if Nikola Vucevic said, I'm not coming back, I'm exploring my options, I'm going to go to a different team and play a different brand of basketball that will better suit me. If that's what's going to happen with Nikola Vucevic, if Jakob Poeltl's there, I'd love to keep him. I think there'd be high competition and high demand for him. I think Toronto would love to keep him as well. There's a big reason why they traded for him. But at the end of the day, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how it's going to go around. But Bulls fans have been talking about this player for a long time, and it makes sense for him to come to the Chicago Bulls in my eyes. I think he fits exactly what we need, and then we can go and pursue other players that could probably, I guess, help what Vucevic, I guess the loss of Vucevic would bring. These two won't be coming in and playing bench and starters, let's just say. Jakob Poeltl would want to start for this team, and at the end of the day, so would Nikola Vucevic. So for those people are saying, sign Vucevic and then put him on the bench, or sign Jakob Poeltl, put him on the bench, I don't think that's how it's going to happen. I think both players in this stage of their careers want to start for a team that is good, at least, or at least has the potential to be good. And yeah, so I can't see that happening either. So yeah, be mindful of that. You know, some of these guys would want to come in and start for the Chicago Bulls, and if that's going to be the case, Vucevic's job could be in danger. Some people might like that, some people may not like that much. But whatever the case may be, those are the five big men that I guess would be a good addition to the Chicago Bulls, I guess you could say. Those are the five big men that you could potentially pursue. Some of them for different reasons. Obviously, the Landale one is definitely going to be a bench option. Can't see him coming here and starting. You know, you got guys like Thomas Bryant, you know, a special needs type player, fits small ball, fits our system in that department, can shoot the three ball as well, would be a nice addition. Naz Reid is a very popular player to come into this Bulls team. A lot of people have been talking about him. And obviously, Jakob Poeltl, everybody's been talking about him for a long time. I think he'd be a nice addition. These are the players, as well as Jackson Hayes as well. Can't forget about him. Very athletic. You know, there are good qualities to these guys. Will they make us instantly better? Some of them will, some of them won't. But we've got to be mindful that we are unsure of what the center position will look like next season. So it's good to have all, I guess, areas covered. If Vucevic leaves, you go and get those players that can, I guess, make this team better from the center position as a starter. If Andre Drummond leaves, you've got a couple of bench options there that can replace him as well. If you desperately need a small ball alongside of Andre Drummond, then you've got players there as well that can play the small ball system. I think it fits perfectly with this Bulls team, and I do. Yeah, and I thought this was a good video, and I thought these are nice players to have on this Bulls team if any of them decide, you know, let's go to the Chicago, I guess you could say. I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.